This Bible study is sponsored by Wake Up America Seminars. Go check out their website or give them a call. They have really informative materials to study on God's character and his plans for the end times as found in Daniel and Revelation.
When the Messiah was here on earth, he told his disciples, no one knows the day or hour, not even the angels or the Son of Man, only the Father. When the Messiah said this, it was true. No one knew the day or hour. It was true 2,000 years ago. Well, if you go to Daniel 7, 13 through 15, and Revelation 5, what you will see is that the Messiah, when he returned to heaven, after he said these words, he was given all power. He was given the kingdom. In 1798, he was given the kingdom. And he's been breaking the seals off the scroll that was handed to him. That's truth.
Share the same message, last 20 years. Been saying the same thing with many fears. Day one on the floor, tears in my eyes. A lot of people don't know, would be surprised. I gave my whole life to live Christ. Some just living life to throw rice. Yeah, life bloody, no it's not nice. People call you buddy, call you short knife. With a short knife, I met few snakes, and few she ain't even hate. If they hate, even hate if they hate me. This for the hate speech, for the hate speech. Face when the face when the face sent from heaven. I was with the last message, with the last message. Then I'll be less, then I'll be less coming. Go for the second coming. Before the seven seals getting broke, before the seven trumpets, before the seven trumpets.
Soon and very soon, a lot of people are going to be killed by the destruction that's coming on earth. The person that you're looking at right now, the person that you're next to, the person that you're next to, that person could be gone in.
This could be the last time, this could be the last time before your heart message like this, before the cease well, before the cease well. Me and Dr. Fate cry, when the wind cry, to no one out of four. You can't know this, you can't know this. You need the Holy Spirit and a real God. God try to use flesh. Human race is a mess, human race is a mess unless they reborn.
I want to start off with a question. Is the book of Daniel for the time of the end? For the time of Daniel 12, you go to Daniel 12, it'll answer the question for. It'll answer the question for. But you Daniel, and seal the words until the time of the end.
They hold rocks in their head cause they're hard wicked, cause they're hard wicked. They don't know it's business, they don't know it's business. Stuck in religion, stuck in putting me to death. You need to put me to death. You need to know I'm protected by a promise. I promise. You still looking for a woman, go ahead, scroll me, go ahead, for the seal of God. I'm looking for the seal of God. You still looking for a job, you still looking for a job, cause you want bread. It's hard to have faith when you're not led, when you're not led, by the Holy Spirit, cause you're at the very end. We at the very end, bullet, spin it, rush bullet, rush, go ahead, bullet, go ahead. It's hard to have faith when you're not led, when you're not led, by the Holy Spirit, cause you're at the very end. We at the very end, bullet, spin it, rush bullet, rush, go ahead, bullet, go ahead, bullet.
YouTube, Facebook, what is going on? Welcome to another Bible study where we focus on God's character, heart, and timing. Today, of course, we're going to dive into the word, but before we just jump straight into it, I want to say what's up to Zoom, because Zoom is always helping me out. Zoom is always helping us out as we go through the word. Zoom, do you want to say what's up to the world before we keep going? Say that one more time. They may not have heard you guys. You want to say?
Hey,
Hello, everybody.
hello, what's up?
Oh, thank you, family. Just wanted to make sure that they heard you. So, today, as I was saying before we kind of came online, I was explaining like we're gonna be piggybacking a little bit off of what Pastor Derek had led us with the understanding of like how would we feel if you go through this process of building this house and you invite someone in and they begin to get real comfortable in your house and to the point where they no longer acknowledge you. and they begin to think that the house is yours. So where I want to go with it today is explaining like are a lot of y'all familiar with boxing? Like, have you ever seen a boxing match? Rather, you really fully understand the inner workings of it. But do you seen a boxing before? Seen a boxing match before, right? All right. So like when a boxer is in a ring and they're surrounded, like you ever seen them the big matches? Maybe you seen Mike Tyson when he fought before, Oscar De La Hoya, any boxer that you've seen in the mainstream boxing, you know, those stadiums be kind of filled with massive amount of people. But when the boxer is in that ring, whose voice do you think whose voice are they listening to, or should they be listening to? The coach, the trainer, right? Because we know, like in those boxing matches, we know like they hearing so many voices. They hearing all the opinions of the people, which direction they should be going. And when the people are given that direction and yelling out the things that they're yelling out, is from a perspective of what they feel the boxer should be doing. So we understand that the boxer should be listening to the coach, because the crowd could be yelling duck, left hook, or whatever it is. But the boxer should be focused on the instructions of the coach. The coach is the one who put together the plan to win, studying the opponent and even studying the boxer to know what you need in order to win. And what we have become prone to doing is no longer listening to the coach, but listening to the crowd. Because we may feel as if maybe we hear the crowd's voice over the coach. Maybe it's drowning the coach out. And I want to show this because what I'm hoping to bring out is just I want to give an eternal perspective. Because we know and we can see, rather we watch the news, rather we scrolling on social media, there is a lot of things that is happening. And there could be a lot of things that you could be caught up in and just what's going on. But having an understanding of what God is doing, focusing in on that, and allowing the distractions to fade away. Because when that boxer is in the ring, those voices that are giving their opinion, those voices that's telling the boxer what they should be doing, that's trying to drown out the trainers or the coach's voice, essentially they're just distractions. Getting you off a pivot from what the trainer wants you to focus on. Because the trainer, once again, or the coach, has the plan for you to win. And if you just stick to that plan, you'll be good. So I want to go to Matthew 24:37. It's a lot of familiarity. If you have, if you've seen any of the Bible studies that we usually do on Be Stronger Courageous, rather be Brother James, rather be Pastor Derek, rather be Brother Raven, familiar passages, but we want to continue to bring out God's character, heart, and timing in these passages, because it is very necessary so that we do not get caught up in the noise of the crowd. So, Matthew 24:37, and we're setting the foundation of where we're going to be going. And it says, as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. For in the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, up to the day Noah entered the ark. And they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and took them all away. This is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. So, foundation of just being able to see, like, as it was in the days of Noah, we see that none of the people were paying attention to the coach's voice that was trying to set them up to win. They was listening to their own ways, what they wanted to do, what was fulfilling to them, what they thought would get them to win the game of life, right? Rather be given in marriage, rather be drinking and having fun, right? All of those things we're just focusing on. But we're going to go, of course, into Genesis 6 to see what was God trying to get them to focus on. What was the coach trying to get them to focus on? And of course, I know we know it, but just I want to bring it all together to have this perspective. So Genesis 6, can I get someone to read 9 through 13? Appreciate you, bro.
This is the account of Noah and his family. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence. God saw how corrupt the earth had become, and for all the people on earth had corrupted their ways. So God said to Noah, I am going to put an end to all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I am surely going to destroy both them and the earth.
And then, of course, we know he goes into a bunch of, he goes into very specific instructions for Noah and what he needs to do in order to win, right? And I'm saying win just because we were using an analogy of the boxer. So if you hear me say win, that's what I really mean. Just what it takes for him to overcome the flood. That being obedient to the specific instructions that God called. So worldwide, the Lord is saying that the earth was corrupt in his sight, in God's sight, meaning he had established them in the way that he desired for them to go, and he gave them ways, but they began to corporately drift away from his plan. They began to listen, essentially, just from off the analogy, the crowd. No longer hearing his voice and doing the things that he wants them to do, or living the way that he is, that he wanted them to live, right? But look at Noah. Said Noah was a righteous man, right? And I looked up, of course, the definition, or anyone else want to look up the definition of what righteous means? I mean, it look up for Google. I know that I did.
I got you.
Go ahead, bro.
A person or conduct morally right or justifiable, virtuous, very good or excellent.
Yeah. I even went to Webster, of course. I've been finding myself on Webster just looking at the definition because I like the way that they even break it down too, because morally right is one of the ones that I found, and justifiable. Also, is acting in accord with divine or moral law, free from guilt or sin. That's the type of man that Noah was, where he listened to the coach faithfully, right? He was righteous and blameless, and he walked faithfully, which of course I looked up faithfully, and just went to faithful, which is steadfast in affection or allegiance, loyal, firm in adherence to promises or in observance of duty. If you put this in the aspect of a boxer, I'm faithful in the instructions that the boxer gives me. That the coach gives me. The directions that he gives, I follow them to the T. So even before he gave him these instructions to build an ark, he was walking faithfully with God. And we even get to see this because if we scroll down to 21 and 22, after all of the instructions that God give, the last instruction, he says, you are to take every kind of food that is to be eaten and stored away for you and for them. Noah did everything just as God commanded him. What was God trying to get the world to focus on? What was coming? flood, right? And it, yeah. And so imagine you the boxer. You do not. Your coach has studied has studied your opponent to the point that they can read him, and he's telling you a left hook is coming. A left hook is coming. Watch out for that left hook. Watch out for that left hook. You can either pay attention to it and listen and adhere, which is what Noah did, or as we read in Matthew, we seen what everyone else did. They went off of what they wanted to do and what they feel. They no longer wanted to hear and didn't even care to hear what the coach was saying. It's when they got in that ring, it was all about them. When they got in that ring, it was their plan, their way of how to win. Their own strategy. Eating, drinking, marrying, giving in marriage. But as he's given this specific plan to Noah, this detailed plan that to follow and to stick to, the way to build the ark, the way to gather all the animals, not only that, then store up all the food, all of these specific instructions, and of course how it sums up to 22 where it says, Noah did everything God commanded. So that means all the things that he's seen everyone else did, all the distractions he was able to ignore, and to hear the voice and remember what God coached him on. And I wanted to bring this because it's so important that we are focusing on that today and putting those things in practice for us today, because we know what's coming down in the pipeline. 1,335 days of tribulation. If we're not listening to the coach now, what happens on game day? So I really wanted to bring that out just to show like what God wanted people to focus on. What he was saying, what he's telling, Amos 3:7, surely the sovereign Lord does nothing without revealing his plans to his servants, the prophets. And he is given a clear instructions of what is coming to happen. Surely I am going to flood this earth. So not only do you have Noah, who, if you go into 2 Peter 2, verse 5, says that Noah was a preacher of righteousness. So he was telling and warning and showing what is getting ready to happen. Not only that, being the character, because he's walking faith, he's being and exuding the characteristics of God and the fruits of the Holy Spirit, just from how his character is. But he's also showing it by being obedient to the instructions that the Lord has given him. So as he's building this ark, they visibly can see what he's doing. And not only that, if you go over to chapter 7, and I'm going to start in verses. Let's start at verse 4. Because this is what else they get to see, right? So this is the Lord talking to Noah, of course. And he's saying, 7 days from now, I will send rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. And I will wipe from the face of the earth every living creature I have made. And above, you can see the instructions that the Lord had gave Noah. He told him for every clean animal to bring 7 pairs of it, and for every unclean just to bring 1 pair, male and female. And it says Noah did all that the Lord commanded him. That's in verse 5. Verse 6, Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters came on the earth. And Noah and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives entered the ark to escape the flood of the waters. Pairs of clean and unclean animals, birds, and all of the creatures that move along the ground, male and female, came to Noah, entered the ark as God had commanded Noah. So for the 7 days, you even get to see all these animals flocking into this general area. So you see the ark that's being built. You see the animals that's coming. And of course, you've had Noah this whole time going to and fro and trying to tell you and warn and show what's getting ready to come. But they got their ears plugged. Man, I got a birthday party this weekend. I ain't trying to hear that. Man, my my kid planning to go to college. I ain't trying to hear that. Man, my grandma been talking about that. I ain't trying to hear that. All of these things that's being ignored. All of these signs that's being ignored. And the Lord is the one that's sending the animals. The Lord is the one that gave him the instruction, that gave Noah the instructions to build the ark. But when we no longer want to hear, we won't hear. Where was I? First, jump down to verse 11. And it says, in the 600th year of Noah's life, on the 17th day of the second month, on that day, all the springs of the great deep burst forth. The floodgates of the heavens were open, and the rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. On that very day, Noah and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, together with his wife and the wives of the three sons, entered the ark. Because Noah listened to the coach faithfully. He was in tune. He was very much so in tune and obedient to the instructions that the coach gave him. It's important. So we get to see what God wanted them to focus on by telling them what is getting ready to happen. Noah is showing godly character. He's being obedient. That's give all these things where he's trying to get them to focus, get an opportunity. When you ain't trying to hear coach, when you just trying to do your own thing, can't win. Because the coach is the very one who sent the flood. So I want to jump over to Genesis 41. And of course, this is when Joseph, right after Joseph had interpreted the dreams of the cupbearer and the baker while he was in jail. The next chapter shows, of course, 2 years after that, and he is back at Pharaoh again. This is a very familiar passage, but just wanted to give the backstory before we read it. And we'll be jumping through here. Because it's very much so important that when you have that eternal aspect of what God is getting ready to do, and what he's currently doing and what he's getting ready to do, it allows you to filter out all the distractions and to be able to hone in on what you need to be doing. And that's what I'm hoping this brings out, is to see how important it is for us to stay locked in with what we know God is currently doing and getting ready to do, so that we won't get caught up in the distractions, the many distractions that we will see and will continue to see. You know, and Jesus said that there will be wars and rumors of wars, and he listed some other things of, nation rising against nation, kingdom against kingdom, but these are just the beginning of birth pangs. So not to get caught up in all of these distractions and these things that the world may want us to focus on, but to focus on the very specific instructions, the very specific things that he is getting ready to do. So we can cancel out all distraction. but to be able to be locked in with what he wants us on. So Genesis 41. We can just start at 1. Can I have somebody read 1 through 10? Thank you, Mama Sue.
When out of the river there came up 7 cows, sleek and fat, and they gazed among the reeds. After them, 7 other cows, ugly and gaunt, came up out of the Nile and stood beside those on the river bank. And the cows that were ugly and gaunt ate up the 7 sleek, fat cows. Then Pharaoh woke up. He fell asleep again and had a second dream. 7 heads of grain, healthy and good, were growing on a single stalk. After them, 7 other heads of grain sprouted, thin and scorched by the east wind. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 healthy, full heads. Then Pharaoh woke up. It had been a dream. In the morning, his mind was troubled. So he sent for all the magicians and wise men of Egypt. Pharaoh told them his dreams, but no one could interpret them for him. Then the chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, "Today I am reminded of my shortcomings." Pharaoh was once angry with his servants, and he imprisoned me and the chief baker in the house of the captain of the guard.
Thank you, Mama Sue. I'm going to jump down to verse 14 because, of course, right after that, Pharaoh, of course, calls for Joseph. So, verse 14. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph, and he was quickly brought from the dungeon. When he had shaved and changed his clothes, he came before Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I had a dream and no one can interpret it. But I have heard it said of you that when you hear of a dream, you can interpret it." "I cannot," Joseph replied to Pharaoh, "but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires." Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "In my dream, I was standing on the bank of the Nile, when out of the river there came up seven cows, fat and sleek, and they grazed among the reeds. Among them 7 other cows came up, scrawny and very ugly and lean. I had never seen ugly cows in the land of Egypt. I had never seen such ugly cows in the land of Egypt. The lean, ugly cows ate up the 7 fat cows that came up first. But even after they ate them, no one could tell that they had done so. So they looked just as ugly as before. Then I woke up. In my dream, I saw 7 heads of grain, full and good, growing on a single stalk. After them, 7 other heads sprouted, withered and thin, and scorched by the east wind. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 good heads. I told this to the magicians, but none of them could explain it to me. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dreams of Pharaoh are one and the same. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do." So here we go again, where God is revealing his plan again about what he is about to do. He is not random. He is not it's not random at all. He is very intentional, and he doesn't try to sneak attack. He is very open about what he is doing. He tells those. Amos 3:7. Surely the sovereign Lord does nothing about revealing his plans to his servants, the prophets. He's not trying to sneak attack no one. And we see his character even all the way back here in Genesis. So he's telling him what he is getting ready to do. And this is what Joseph just pointed out. And then as he's interpreting the dream, and it says the 7 good cows are 7 years, or 7 years, and the 7 good heads of grain are 7 years. It is one and the same. The 7 lean, ugly cows that came up afterward are 7 years. And so are the 7 worthless heads of grain scorched by the east wind. They are 7 years of famine. It is just as I said to Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. 7 years of great abundance are coming through the land of Egypt, but 7 years of famine will follow them. Then all of the abundance in Egypt will be forgotten, and the famine will ravage the land. Stop right there just for a second to just break down. So, like, what did God want Pharaoh to know? Right. Like, he wanted him specifically to know what he was about to do. He was about to send 7 years of plenty and then 7 years of famine. So after they have all of this information that God gave them, that has to do with the next 14 years, what becomes the most important thing? Right? So what should they have been doing with this information? They know it's 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine that's coming up. What should they have been doing? Storing up. Because you know what's coming. So going back to the boxing analogy, the coach is giving you a firm plan on what's about to get ready to happen. Hey, I already seen this trainer. I know what he gonna do. He usually gonna come in, couple jabs, and a couple jabs to lure you out. As soon as you poke your head, he come in with a left hook. He's giving you a clear plan of what's getting ready to happen, and it's on you to either listen to the coach or listen to the crowd, because it's 14 years. 14 years. That means them 7, you know how distracting it can get in those 7 years? The 7 years of good. You know how we just came from Noah. For 120 years, he was warning about something that's going to happen. Maybe the first year, you can be skeptical, but not, but not fully believe it. After year 10, you just like, it's whatever. So even though he's given a specific, it's on you to pay attention. This is what he wanted them to pay attention to, was that he was sending this thing that was for sure going to happen. It's for sure happening. I'm letting you know what I am about to do. So I'm going to keep going. Or y'all stopped at verse 30. No, 31. 31. The abundance in the land will not be remembered, because the famine that follows it will be so severe. 32. The reason the dream was given to Pharaoh in 2 forms is that the matter has been firmly decided by God, and God will do it soon. And now, let Pharaoh look for a discerning and wise man and put him in charge of the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh appoint commissioners over the land to take 1/5 of the harvest of Egypt during the 7 years of abundance. They should collect the food of these good years that are coming and store up the grain under the authority of Pharaoh to be kept in the cities. The food should be held in reserve for the country to be used during the 7 years of famine that will come upon Egypt, so that the country may not be ruined by famine. The plan seemed good to Pharaoh and to all his officials. So Pharaoh asked them, can we find anyone like this man, one whom is the Spirit of God? Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, since God made all of this known to you, there is no one discerning and wise as you. You shall be in charge of the palace, of my palace, and all my people are to submit to your orders. Only with respect to the throne will only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you. This is how important it is to have this, how important it is to listen to the coach. He see clearly that God revealed all of this wisdom to him. And he said, I'm going to follow it. I'm going to listen to it. How much more important is it for us to not get caught up in distractions, to not get caught up in anything that pulls you away from listening to coach? Because this is surely going to happen. And with that, Revelation 6. I'm going to just read 7 and 8 in closing. And it says, when the Lamb opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth living creature say, come. I looked, and there before me was a pale horse. His rider name was Death, and Hades was following close behind him. They were given power over a fourth. They were given power over a fourth of the earth to unalive by sword, famine, and plague, and by the wild beasts of the earth. Surely going to happen. In Daniel 12, we know it's 1,335 days of the Great Tribulation. Surely going to happen. If we are not locking in with coach, to put it simply, if we are not putting into practice and holding on to the things that we know we need to hold on to, it's very easy to fall away. So I just wanted to bring this perspective of how important it is and what voice are we listening to now, because we know how important it is. We can see it from the word, just how important it is to have that perspective of what God is doing and getting ready to do, and how to focus on that and stay focused and locked in on that, because anything else can be a distraction. Like Noah had 120 years to hold on to that, what he knew God was doing. Joseph had 14 years to stay locked in to what God was doing. It's like your parent is at work and they told you to take the chicken out of the freezer. They called you because they was gonna be home in a while. If you get too comfortable, you could get lost and lose track of time. And by the time that you realize that you ain't take that chicken out, they pulling in the driveway. And we know what happens when that. You know what happens next. So, with that, I open the floor up. What's going on, family? Any comments, any questions? Sir. Man, yeah, nah, that most definitely. Bishop always reminds us you're going to always default back to training. So the processes that we are doing now with the slowing down and the taking every moment so serious and being intentional with it is good. It's key because we need to be putting those things back. We need to be putting those things into practice. So when it is that time, your default training will be like how Noah was. He did everything that the Lord commanded. Was already walking faithfully with him. So then when it was time for him to do what he needed to do, he did, every time the Lord told him to do something, he did it until the end. So that's very much so key. Anyone else? All right. Facebook and YouTube, thank you for coming to another Bible study. We will be back this Sabbath, and then and then again on Tuesday. Till next time, like my brother always say, be strong.